Okay, so once you have your Linux install in place and you have it up and running, you can bring up a web browser, and now we need to put the software in place. So under the menu, by default, at least with Linux Mint, you get Firefox. Ubuntu will have the same. It will look a little bit different. And we have a nice option here for bringing up a terminal. And so just as we've seen in the other videos, you can look at this stuff. If you are in a situation where you need to connect to some other machine, and especially if you need X forwarding, and for example for my classes, as soon as we start doing GUIs, that will be significant, which is part of why I'm making this video. Then you can you can use SSH. It's already there, it's installed, and this -Y option is what tells it to allow you to pop up windows. So right now, if I were to run something, let's pick something silly like gedit. Now, granted, I am using a reasonably slow connection to the computer that this is running on, so I wouldn't want to do this most time, but I was able to run this. It's actually running on a different computer, and it's just sending me the graphical terminal. It's one of the beautiful things about the X Windows and Linux system. But you also probably want to have some of this installed on your own machine, and so I want to run you through installing both Java and Scala and setting up environment variables for them, because I think that is significant for you to do. For Java, which is what you should get first, go to oracle.com, and under downloads they have Java for developers, and you should go ahead and pull down whatever the most recent version of the JDK is. You're not interested right now in the JRE. For our purposes, you want the JDK, which is the Java Developers Kit. This has all of the things that you need for actually writing programs, and that's useful for when you're trying to write your Scala programs as well. So you download this, you'll have to agree to a license and then click. And I went ahead and I downloaded the 64-bit tar GZ file, and you'll see that in just a minute. It takes a while to download, so I didn't want to do it during the video. The other thing that you want to download is you want to go to scalalang.org and download Scala and pick the most recent release of this. So there is a 2.10 that is currently in progress, but it is still a milestone at the time when I'm making this video. So 2.92 will work just fine. I should note the textbook is written for 2.9 and revisions have to be made for 2.10. So it's possible you might even want, if you want things to be as close to the textbook as possible, you might consider sticking with 2.9. We'll have to say I haven't had experience with seeing how much stuff from the book is going to change in 2.10. So I downloaded both of those, and they went to my downloads directory, and of course this is a brand new install because we just installed it, so that's all that's there. So I'm going to move those into this directory, and they are both gzipped tarballs. And so to open those up, I'm going to run tar, and I'm going to give it the command xzf. The X is for extract a tarball. The Z is it has been zipped with gzip, and the F says that we're pulling it from a file, and then I can give it the name of the file. And now if you look, there is an extra directory here, JDK 1.7, etc., etc., etc. And we can do the same for the Scala. Okay, and now I have Scala 2.9.2. Technically at this point, let's run Scala 2.9.2 bin Scala. This is working, however, it's using the version of Java that came with the machine, or that came with this this Linux install. Feel free to run with this. It's the OpenJDK. It's 1.6 update 24. So that's interesting. Ignore. Well, maybe I should have given it a larger partition. This will inevitably work fine for you. I kind of prefer to have the official version of Java. I find that it often performs a little bit better, and so one of the things you might have noticed here is that in order to run Scala, I had to give the full path for it, and that's kind of a pain. It's nice to have it so that you can get to these things immediately, and so for that we can add a few lines to our dot. Let me remember, it's 1.7007. Actually, let's just go ahead and open another window. There we go. Now we can see what we're doing. So there's a file, a .bashrc file, which gets run every time that you start up a terminal, and you can put a few commands in here so that I don't spend time retyping them. I'm actually going to copy these over. Oh, yes. Well, that's interesting. Why is that? Unless, of course. Yep. Okay, well. And I have standard VI. This is actually something that my students have asked about. Under Mint Linux, okay, so it doesn't come by default with Vim. However, it gives you instructions for getting it. Sudo apt-get install Vim, and it will ask you for your password. Yes, I want to install it. And this way you can have the Vim editor instead of just the VI editor. Vim really is easier to move around in. So let's go ahead and, while I'm over here, I'll just go ahead and use VI for the .bashrc. And I want to tell the system a number of different things. I want to tell it what Java command I want it to use. Okay, this is something that Scala will look up when it runs Java. And so I'm going to give it home. You'll give it your username. And then, of course, we just installed this in 1.7.0_07. And the Java command itself is bin Java. I want to tell it where Java is located. Java home, which is similar. Home. Lewis. These, as you can tell, I'm very used to Vim. So JDK is lowercase there. JDK 1.7.0_07. That is the home for Java. We have a Scala home as well that I would like to set. And home Lewis. And I believe, let's just check real fast. There we go. This was just Scala 292. Scala and hyphen 2.9.2. Okay. To make it so I can run Scala from anywhere, I'm going to set up an alias for Scala, and that alias is going to make it so that when I type in Scala, I get this command. Okay, and it'll come in handy later to also have the Scala compiler in there. And at least the way I have things set up on my system, I add the Java home to the path, or actually I add Java home's bin directory to the path. So let's just go with home mlowis jdk 1.7.0/bin, and I want to add that onto the $path. Now, every time that I open, so if I exit that terminal and I create a new one, now when I run this, you'll see that I got that. I'm still using their old version. I'd have to go look into that, but I'm perfectly happy with that right now for this setup. So now you'll be able to run Scala. You'll be able to run Scala C in here for compiling. Wow, path occurs many times in this. That's the issue, that our path wasn't updated from that. Something to look into. So if you follow these instructions, you'll be able to run Scala on your machine. I now do have Vim installed, and you can add whatever other software you want into the mix. So this should hopefully get you up and running. You'll be able to SSH, you'll be able to run Scala locally. You can also do an SCP when you want to move files around, and this will work even if the you can't pull down the disk image that I made and work with that.